You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious!
Now, Don and Ivan, well, Don particularly, before you take us off track, I want to mention quickly, not quickly necessarily, well, I'm taking myself off track. Ivan, can you back this up? Tell me if I tell a word of a lie. Don's truck has malfunctioned. So he rang the RACV up. Tell me, just pull me up if I'm exaggerating.
Go.
So he's got the bonnet up and the very pleasant, he looked like a...
No, very pleasant man, and he was fantastic.
Shut up. So the man pulls up, a nice little man. Not little man, nice little man. Gets out.
He was nice and little because he's got a small hand. I had to check his hand size of his hand out to get it in to where I needed it. That was
embarrassing.
So this is what I'm saying. The man gets out of the RAC van, who are very efficient, incidentally, RACV out. Nice shout out to RACV.
Yes. Do you realise that they send, can I just butt in again, as I normally do, they send you a little map as to how they're progressing on the phone. Have you ever called the RACV out?
Plenty of times, Don. That's how I know they're efficient.
They are very, very good.
I've just got onto the fact that I can turn you off. So if you keep interrupting... No, I wouldn't turn you off, Don, because people love you interrupting because they think, how do you put up with this? So the man gets out of the car and Don says, show us your hand. And the bloke thought he was going to shake his hand for coming so quickly. And the man puts his hand out and Don brushes it away. And he says, I just wanted to see how big your hands were. And the bloke, I'm telling you, what is he? Did he look Iranian or he?
No, don't worry. He's Australian. He's an Australian.
He is, Don, but he wasn't used to the custom of Western District farmers and fourth generation Australians. I'm not saying he was a lovely man, but Don knocked his hand away and he said, I just want to see how big your hand was, as if he couldn't hold the tools that he'd come with us.
No, you had to put the hand in a very tight spot. I can't get my hand in, otherwise I would have asked him.
He had no idea where he had to put his hand because Don had just rang him and he was going to assess the situation. So the bloke gets out I think it's called a socket. Is it not a mechanical socket, a battery-operated socket?
It is.
And he comes over and Don said, you need a bigger, longer socket than that. And I said, Don, leave the fucking
Well, what
man.
did the man do? Went back to his truck and got a longer socket.
Because he came to see, he didn't know what implements he needed until he viewed it. And you were handling the socket, you spun it round. I said, put his equipment down, Don. Don't touch his equipment. So the bloke came, he said, oh, you need a bigger socket. So the bloke went back and he brought his toolbox out and he said, yeah, Don. And he put the bigger socket in. Don said, yes, there you are, that's the one. And I said, mate, would you like to take him away? And the man, to his credit, didn't answer. He smiled. He smiled at Don, and Don sat there with his head over the fucking engine. And the bloke said, "Oh, could you move back? I can't see." And Don said, "Yeah, I think that's it there." I said, "Don." At this stage, I walked away. I thought there's going to be a homicide out here shortly. The bloke's going to put the socket in Don's ear and grind his brain out. So anyhow, I sat in here and suddenly I heard the bonnet slam and I said, everything hunky-dory, and the bloke put his thumb up and drove his truck away. He will be radioing into RACV headquarters and he'll be saying, if ever this bloke rings, I said, send someone out who's deaf. Who knows what they're doing, but send someone out who's deaf, who doesn't have to listen.
Well, he was only there 5 minutes. He would have been there half an hour if I'd left him to his own resources. I showed him exactly what was wrong, what to do, It's just the size of my hand couldn't get in the little space.
So, Don, here's the question. If you showed him what to do, where it was and exactly what to do, why did you need to call him in the first place?
Because if you had listened to me, I said there was a difference between the size of our hands. I cannot get my hand in there.
I've got more sockets and extensions out in that
but your hand is as big as mine.
But if it's a long enough extension, it doesn't matter how big it is. I've got more sockets out there than Total Tools.
You are ignorant. I just told you needed a hand to get in there to put the pipe on the right angle
You
bend.
did not, Don.
I did.
If the socket's extension is long enough, it doesn't matter if you're the
this takes me
Yeti.
back.
You've got hands as big as the fucking Yeti. It doesn't matter. Anyhow, so so he's packed off, and I said, "Did you give him a tip?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Bring bigger sockets next time." I said, "No." Did you give him some money to come out? He said, "No, I didn't." So that
Don said he'd give him 4 stars on the feedback. The guy said,
yes,
no,
what,
5.
Yeah.
And you said, oh, I don't know about that.
I did not. I said I'd give him 5.
Yeah,
He was
he
terrific.
didn't give a fuck about the stars. He wanted money. Why didn't you give him $50 for coming out and putting up with your shit?
I don't think they're allowed to do that, are they?
Oh, what? You couldn't slip 50 into his hand.
I
He
haven't
put it in
got
his
50.
pocket.
I don't do sports nights like you do every week.
Oh, I see. So it's just how affluent you are as to
Yeah.
whether you tip someone
Well,
for
that's right.
service.
Yeah.
I said, you ever tip at restaurants?
Never. I never go.
Never?
To one. Never go.
So you never tip someone at a
We
restaurant?
live in different social stratas, you and I.
Not really.
We come
Don,
from
no.
different places.
We come from different places, but we don't think we're any different social stars.
Now listen, let's get on to something that's
No,
common.
we're not
I
getting-
want to talk about the Australian World Cup. I thought
No,
it was,
Don, did you hear what I said before we were off air? When we were off air?
What?
God, I said, we've got some things to cover. Could we leave the World Cup until the end? Did you hear me say
no,
that?
I didn't.
Well, you didn't. Well, Ivan, did you hear me tell him
Yes,
that?
I thought that's what we were talking about before.
That's so, Don. We're going to get Kate Save first. Now, we didn't mention Kate last week, but what is
got
the
monograms.
what is the important thing about that we have to mention about Kate Save
Because
this week?
Friday, I got a little mix, although we're members of it, or what are we? Investors.
We are investors
I've
in
got
the
to give you
Kate
money for that
Save.
too.
We are
I
investors.
haven't paid you.
We are investors
You're a
in
good
Kate
investor.
Save's Be Fit Food organisation. She's trying to take over the organisation on her own, and she needs a bit of crowd funding. And we have put our money where our mouth is because we love the food and we think it's beneficial to our health and our well-being, don't we, Don?
I have lost 6 kilos on that. I'm down to
I
86.
thought you were going to say you've lost $100. So you've lost 6 kilos because if you get any thinner, you'll be able to smell the piss.
Yeah, but I
through
can
you,
ride the
Don.
horses much better. And
You feed it to the horse, do you?
no, they're a bit lighter. It's 6 kilos less on their back.
You?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So the crowdfunding ceases. The crowdfunding ceases this Friday. So if you
Get
want
in,
to
get in,
What?
quick, get in quick.
if you want to invest in Be Fit Food and put a good Australian Aussie product and company on the map so that it's successful, why don't you? I don't know how. You just look up Be Fit Food and they would direct you to a website.
I don't know if I've
crowdfund.
mentioned this, but there was an interesting stat came up on the news a couple of weeks ago that back in our time, and I've mentioned it in the past, everybody was ambitious and wanted to get into their own business. 17% of the or businesses were made up of small business people. Do you know what that has slipped to now? Young people are not willing to get off their arse and having a go. It's slipped down to about 8% of the businesses are small businesses. And it's good to see Kate Save is a young lady having a
Young
go.
person.
Yes, having a go.
Yes, that's what we. That's why we're backing her.
And also we're backing the people up in Ballarat, the compounding pharmacy, Prospect.
Are we?
They're near the Windaree Lake.
I didn't know that.
Yes, well, I am.
Well, why have you just said that off the top of your head? What's that
No,
about?
I've given them a mention in the past, and they're starting off, a young couple.
Oh, no, I didn't know this.
You know, I gave a talk in Ballarat, and
You gave a talk.
he gave on a shout out like you did.
So you said, why didn't you tip the RACV man? You said, because I don't do sports nights like you, didn't he, Ivan?
Very good,
And
yep.
so I presume you got a small stipend.
No, that was a freebie, the one in Ballarat.
you do it
cost
for nothing,
me, mate.
do you?
Yes, cost me.
Why do you do it for nothing?
Oh, because I'm come up here, I do this podcast for nothing. So you've got an outlet and an idiot to have a go at. You couldn't work by yourself.
I couldn't work without you.
No, you could work without me.
No, I
you
couldn't.
need someone to put shit on.
No, Don, this wouldn't be successful unless I could put shit on you.
Oh, no, anybody.
People
You need somebody to put shit on.
People chortle at the chortle. Chortle. Laugh.
That's what the chook does, isn't it? Chortle?
Chortle.
No, or clucks. Yeah.
Remember, Don, remember in the first segment, Don said, I'm dyslexic. Dyslexic. He couldn't even say the word properly because he is dyslexic. Clucks, chuck, yep. Chooks, cluck. And, holy. So chortle, people chortle at the repartee between us, Don, because they think we make it up. You are as dumb as a stone or a brick. Now, Ivan.
Yes.
That's the first. Yes is the first thing you've said, Ivan, since
It is. I've just got a text
since
here
you've been here. What?
from Mick Christian, cap number 4. Do we want to know what that's going for?
Well done. I was about to mention after Kate's save. I was about to mention Michael Christian. So, why don't you mention what the first 3 caps went for? This was the. Let's just tell folk. This was the golf cap, so the sports cap thing. What do you call it? What do you call that?
Caps.
Just caps.
Yeah.
With
Red-
the peak.
red cap.
They were signed specifically by Ivan, who's not even his name, but he signed Ivan.
I have to practice.
Me, Don, the legend of Hawthorn, who saved the club and is the premiership captain and Hall of Famer. Dr. Ben Fordham MD, he signed it. And Rex Hunt, the great Rex Hunt.
Haven't heard from him. He must be doing all right at the moment, is he?
The great Rex Hunt signed the caps. And the first one went for $900. The second one went for $7. Ivan has got news of what the 5th and final cap went for. And Ivan's about to announce it. He just said yes a minute ago.
No,
That's the first word he's spoken for an hour and a quarter. And he's going to speak.
Cap number 4, so there's still
4?
one to go.
Oh,
yeah. We're currently at $200.
$200.
$200.
They are at a premium. And while we're on michaelchristianmenswear.com, Don and Ivan, the stubby holders, he cannot keep up with them.
This before.
I'm just telling you. They're made, designed and printed in Tasmania. They're Australian made. I can't guarantee where the rubber comes from that makes them, but that's as good as Aussie product.
Well, I'll be checking it if it's made in Tassie.
It is. He said it was.
No, he thinks he's checking for spelling because he thinks they're all inbred. That's what he was saying. The bucket hat and the we'll show this when we do the T-shirts. Haven't got the collar on them. They're just T-shirts. And I wore this last week, and he said, "Oh, don't." Mick Christian said, "Don't wear the." I don't know how Mick.
What's
speaks.
that on your sleeve?
He said, "Don't what? What?
Smart as Sam.
Yeah, smart as Sam.
It's always been there.
Okay.
It's on everything, Don.
Is it?
That's what we
That's the
trade
logo.
under. Well, I must say trade. And he said, don't advertise the ones with the collar because they saw the one with the knit and they said, oh, we want one of them. So
You're
we don't
repeating
have
yourself. You're repeating yourself.
So we've shouted out to Michael Christian Menswear and Kate Save. Now, can I tell you
And can
this?
I also shout out to Dr. Z in America? That lava soap is fantastic.
And if you're in
running
America,
low, are you?
I've got he sent a box of it. It's fantastic.
And if
stuff.
you're in America, it'd be Mr. Z.
Yeah, that's what it is, Mr. Z or Z.
Z, if Americans call Z Z.
Dr. Z. Dr. Z. He's a doctor.
That's what...
We've got a lot of medico.
Jay-Z.
I think the
I said
why do the
Jay-Z.
medicos listen to this show? We've got
Robbie Peterson, who was ahead of the curve by saying how
got
bogus the
medical fraternity
vaccines were.
The medical fraternity in Israel.
Dr. Nicole.
Who?
Yep. Well done, Ivan. You know, the woman that you were
yes,
enamoured with
I
who
remember.
rang up and she couldn't
jeez.
take your call.
Oh.
You rang her up. She was on a bike ride.
On the
and you
bike
said,
ride.
hello, Nicole.
Yeah,
and she said, I
jeez.
can't speak right now. I'm in a lunch. And she hung up and you said, oh, she gave me the arse. I said, no, she didn't. She was waylaid. She was happy to speak to you because I spoke to her since. And she said, but he just hung up. He got the shits.
We've got Peterson, the
Yep.
Israeli fraternity, Dr. Z.
Dr. Ben Fordham.
Oh, the psychologist.
Yeah, your psychologist. We got Dr. The woman from Hawthorn, Dr. What's her name? What's her first name?
Yeah.
What do you mean? What are you doing? What she doesn't mind us mentioning. She's
Well,
saved
some
your life once when you got bird flu. I came down to the Frankston Hospital and you had bird flu, Don. You'd been feeding kookaburras out on your property,
Chlamydia.
and they'd given you
Former chlamydia.
Chlamydia. That's right.
Now we've got
Can we
this
either answer or
doctor,
not
talking
answer?
about doctors, we got the surgeon from Mount Gambier ringing right now.
Well, go on, have a chat to him on air.
Okay.
You better tell him.
Go on.
Now, Barney...
Put it
we're-
on speakerphone,
Barney,
Don.
we're on air.
Well, put it
so
on
just watch your
speakerphone.
language. I know you're very coarse,
Put it on
man.
speakerphone if
I've
it's
got
on
it
air.
on speakerphone.
You haven't.
Shut
You
up.
can't get a word in.
Speak,
Righto.
Barney.
I was very pleased, as I always am, with the podcast. In particular, I like the fact that Sam Newman and Dr. Ben Fordham had a disagreement about electric cars. And in fact, I agree with Sam Newman here. Electric cars are problematical, and when they go up in flames, it doesn't take 1,500 litres of water to put them out. It takes 31,000 litres. So you ask the fireys what they think of electric cars, and I think you'll be quite surprised at the answer.
Fantastic, Doc.
I'll talk to you at another time.
No, hang on. While you rang, we were just talking
You're on
about...
air,
You're
incidentally,
on
tell
air.
him.
We were just talking about why do we appeal to medicos, and lo and behold, you ring on cue. Why do we appeal to the medical fraternity?
Because we can be trusted.
Put it on so we can hear him, you
Goes
fucking
into the
idiot.
vault and it doesn't go out.
Jesus.
And we're really trying to do the best for our patients. That's what the first thing we're taught at medical school. It's all about the patient. What's the most important person in the room? The patient.
What's that got to do with the podcast?
Well, he's confirming
What's the
about
podcast
doctors
about
on our...
you?
He's confirming.
Because I think you and Sam Newman tell the truth. You are completely unvetted. Absolutely unvetted.
Now, Doc.
That's for sure.
Doc, you listening?
Yep.
You texted me and said what we've been saying about the Victorian government is bearing fruit. What, do you want to say what that was about or not?
Well, yes, it was. It's all in the public domain. It's in the Australian, and it can be read basically what the Victorian government has been doing over the last few years.
Damon Johnson wrote it.
Damon Johnson wrote it, and you could interview Damon Johnson yourself, and I think everything he said crystallises what we have been seeing from interstate. I mean, we love Victorians, and we spend a lot of time travelling to Victoria, and particularly to Geelong, and I think Victoria's a great place. But I think you could do a lot better with your government, and I think one of the major problems with your government is that your opposition hasn't been strong enough in the last couple of elections to actually give them a run for their money.
And Doc,
eventually it'll happen.
the Doc mentions that we could do better because he is domiciled in Mount Gambier, which is part of South Australia. That's why he's saying that, Don.
Yep.
Don? Hello, Don.
I'm a keen observer.
Now, Doc, you have saved us because we didn't have an interview lined up for this week. We are doing a pseudo interview with you, so this has been...
Hang on, he might have an operation on his hands.
No, I'm fine. I'm sweet.
If you could hold his speaker up to the microphone, Don.
Here's something that your viewers, your listeners can listen to, because 30% of the people who listen to you are actually in rural Australia. 30% of Australians live in rural Australia, and we're the people who feed, clothe, produce the raw materials for the cities and produce a bulk of the energy. But the rural Australians, and you know this, both of you, because you travel a lot, rural Australians are rightly and roundly ignored by the 70% who live in the cities.
The social elites, quite right, Doc.
But can you prove that? Can you measure it? And yes, I can measure it, actually, because for the last 60 years, we have actually, and it doesn't matter which state you look in, whether it's Western Australia, Queensland, South Australia, New South Wales, Victoria, Tasmania, let's not forget about Tasmania. You look at the people who have been selected to be our governors and represent the people of their state, and there has only been 25 or a quarter of those 60-odd governors in the last 60 years have been women. So women are underrepresented in government houses. Half the population have been underrepresented. of all those 62 governors, there's only been one Indigenous First Nation governor. That was Doug Nicholls in South Australia. So the First Nations people have been underrepresented in government houses in the last 60 years. And then you say to yourself, so how many of those governors have actually come from a professional, from a rural background, have lived their professional life in rural Australia, being either a teacher or a physiotherapist or the local librarian or the pharmacist or the grazier or the vigneron or whatever, all the things that we do out here. How many of those have actually been represented in Government House to represent the people of their state? And the answer is zero. Absolutely zero.
Doc, you are on a roll. You haven't given yourself a jab, have you? You are on a roll. This is extraordinary. We don't know how lucky we are to have Dr. Ben Fordham, MD from Sydney, and Dr. Barney from Mount Gambier.
If people want to listen more to this, Barney, have you still got your show going of a Saturday morning in Mount Gambier?
No, Ken Cunningham pulled the pin on that because
He knifed you.
He actually retired.
Oh.
So we had no one to talk to.
No, I see, but
Don't
you
shout,
had...
Don,
I
please.
do pre-records, and I do actually, pull, get people to talk to me, when I can. Although I'm fairly busy now seeing patients, but I can still do pre-records, and we play them from time to time.
Oh, so you still got your radio show, so people can be satisfied because you've really excited them with this little thing that you've come up with now. So if they want a bit more, they just tune into Mount Gambier.
Absolutely. Now, well, let's go to the next chapter.
Holy
let's go
man.
to the next chapter of being ignored. Later this year, there will be...
I thought we
Shut
created
up, Don.
them.
Shut up. Let him speak. Yep. Go ahead.
Keep that tape rolling. I've got something else to
Don't
tell
worry.
you.
This is you filled in a bit of a gap for us.
Geez, I hope the doctor doesn't ring
Shut
from
up.
Israel.
Go on.
We have a thing called the Australian High Court. And later this year, or earlier this year, they were able to appoint another person to the Australian High Court. It was a very good jurist, a woman from New South Wales, and she's a very eminent person. She's apparently expert in copyright and other things. And later this year, another member of the High Court will be retiring, and so we'll have to appoint someone else. Now, if you look back on the history of the High Court, and that came from Federation 120 years ago.
Yep.
So that's
When
where the
we
High
became
Court
a
comes from. It's been
nation.
there for 120 years. There has never been a judge, jurist, whatever, from either Northern Territory, South Australia or Tasmania appointed to the Australian High Court in 120 years. Now, you talk about being ignored. We've been ignored. The Australian High Court is really the High Court of New South Wales and Victoria, with occasional cameos from Western Australia and Queensland.
But the intellect of the Victorians and New South Welshmen is far superior to those of other states.
Well, that would be their justification of it. But I'd have to quote our Prime Minister here. If when later this year they appoint another person, and that person were to come from not from Northern Territory, South Australia or Tasmania, I'd have to say, if not now, when? Do you remember him saying that a few weeks ago?
Yep.
If not now, when?
Yeah, about the voice.
Yeah, about the voice.
You're into diversity and inclusion, Doc. You've just ramped yourself up. Gender based on a quota system, not the meritocracy. You're going beautifully.
Okay. But I think those are two pretty good things. And when we haven't even spoken about nuclear.
Oh, man. You about to do that now?
Why not?
Right, why not? This is the doctor. This is Dr. Barney McCusker. He's our interviewee for the week.
He's come out of retirement
to speak.
How are you going with those operations,
Hang
Doc?
on,
Have
Donnie.
your hands still steady?
Oh, it's steady hands. I got
You're bloody old, Doc. If I had my choice, I don't think I'd be going to see you with those hands. I watched you
I'll
last
tell you
time.
what, Doc,
You've got the ducks and drakes.
Don should introduce you to
I was
the...
dealing with your horses, all right.
Don should introduce... Doc, Don should introduce you to the man from the RACV. He's got a fetish about hands. He insisted the man from the RACV show him his hands to see if they're small enough to get into the engine of his car, and now he's on your hands. Are they steady enough to operate?
My hands are steady. We'll show you that the next time. You try and bring a coffee to... You and I can either bring a coffee to the table and see who spills more.
Yeah, it'll end up being a milkshake by the time you put it down. Now, Doc, the High Court might be just investigating the disgraceful saga of the iCook Foods investigation. Do you think that will finally end up in the favour of Mr. Cook?
Well, everything that I've read about it so far, I think Mr. Cook has not been shown natural justice. And I look with interest to see how the Victorian judicial system treats that. I think sometimes the judicial system works very, very slowly, but you'd have to hope that at the end of the day they get the right answer. So I won't preempt that decision, but I will look with interest, because I have everything I've seen about it shows that he is an innocent man, but we shall see. Right,
now, Doc, just before, this is all awfully good, this. Just give us your take on the nuclear thing, because Bob Hawke and I don't want to say that we are in Bob Hawke's league, but we've been saying nuclear
you have.
Yes, been saying it for many years, that this is the only way to go. What's the latest update, Doc?
All right, let me put it this way. If you look at any audience, some of the people there will believe in climate change and some will not. I'm not going to try and dissuade people either way. I believe in it. I think we need to stop producing as much carbon dioxide and methane, but carbon dioxide mainly, that we've been producing since the Industrial Revolution. Now, there are only two ways you can do that. One is using
renewable energy,
which is intermittent energy. And it doesn't work at night, and it doesn't work when the wind isn't blowing. And therefore, you've got to back up the intermittent energy, the wind solar, with a base load that does not produce carbon dioxide. There is only one base load in the world today that does not produce carbon dioxide but produces energy 24/7, and that's nuclear power. Nuclear power is used by all other 19 nations of the G20 group of nations. And they're using mainly our uranium, by the way. This is how stupid it is. We actually send our uranium off overseas without value adding to it. We send $600 million a year of uranium ore because we're not allowed to value add to it. If we did that with our dairy products, we send $900 million of cheese off overseas every year. Now, just imagine if you had a law that said you're not allowed to value add to that milk. You have to just send it as raw material, as milk. You're not allowed to make cheese out of it. But that's actually what we've got with our uranium. We're not allowed to value add, even though we're not allowed to even use it for nuclear power. We should be able to use it for nuclear power because it actually makes sense. Now, if you want to go and look at this, go and read what's happening in Wyoming. Wyoming is around about the same population density as South Australia. But the difference between Wyoming, and they have wind and solar, and as we do, but the big difference is they've got a fellow called Bill Gates who's building a small-scale modular unit there, which is going to support their wind and solar. And Wyoming, which is about 600,000 people, South Australia is about 1.7 million, but our density, we're both very spread out. South Australia could be the leader in nuclear powered technology in Australia. We've got a premier here called Peter Malinauskas. He's a very, very charismatic character. I've met him a few times, and I've seen him talk to crowds. He's marvellous. He actually wants to talk about nuclear. He has said we should not be afraid to talk about nuclear. As soon as he said that, we had our Prime Minister and our Energy Minister giving him a public slapdown, and he had to go on the 7:30 report with Sarah Ferguson and withdraw it at a rate of knots because he is a Labor man and they have discipline. Let me ask you about that conference they just had up in 402 delegates. Now, do those delegates represent the people of Australia, or are they just there to rubber stamp the policies of Labor? Because I'll tell you what, of those 402 delegates, my understanding is that unanimously, to a person, they were all for a yes vote. Now, I'm not going to push yes or no on this program. That's everyone's got their own opinion on that. But I can't believe that 402 people from Australia going to this Labor Party, there could not be just one voice who said, "Oh, by the way, I'm not sure about this yes case. I think I might be a no."
Doc.
Now that's one thing. Now the second thing is, if those 402 represent Australia, why was not one of them wanting to talk about nuclear power? Because I'll tell you what, 61% of an ABC live TV audience voted in favour of a nuclear power. 61% of an ABC live audience voted in favour of a nuclear-powered Australia. Now, that's extraordinary. That's very inconvenient for the ABC, I'll tell you, because they're very anti-nuclear.
Doc, you have blown us away. Could you send us a box full of the syringes that you're on? Could you? This is extraordinary stuff, mate. You've made more sense in the 48 minutes you've been speaking than we've made in the 4 years we've been on, Doc. It's anything else?
No, I think that's enough for one meal. I think the people could. But I'm happy to talk to you anytime you
It
like.
sounds like you're happy to talk to us, Doc.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I came and visited you one day. It was, if you remember, I turned up. You thought I was the man from Stowey River.
And that's right, with the Akubra hat and the Williams boots. Doc, you have saved us because we didn't.
Yep, he said more than me, and I'm sitting here.
He's Ivan, because he knows something about the world we live in.
Ivan the Terrible.
No, yeah.
I've met Ivan the Terrible. Ivan the Terrible is a wonderful bloke.
Yeah. Any other final announcements, Doc, before we wind this up?
If I'm in Melbourne, and I actually do love coming to Victoria. I love
No, don't come on.
No, of course he can come on, Don.
Come to the studio.
Yeah, don't come to the studio if you're in Melbourne. We've got a show to do.
No, Don.
No, I'm not in Melbourne now, but in the future.
Yeah, come on in, Doc.
At a future time.
No, we've got a show to do.
No, he's going to be part of the show, Don.
Have you got any operations today, Doc?
Shut up, Don.
I've got some tomorrow.
Tomorrow, what have you got?
I've got a couple of hand operations to do.
Now, Doc,
you'll fuck them up. Tell them to use their hand as best they can before they go in.
I don't want to insert. I don't want to insert
I look forward to see you at Easter time.
I don't want.
More of my hay.
Doc, I don't want to insert myself into this conversation, but I'm having my shoulder operated on tomorrow. Is there any precautions I should take? I'm having a shoulder replacement.
Oh, are you?
Yeah. Do you think I made that up?
I'll tell you what, I'll ring you tomorrow night and I'll send you a bottle of red.
Right, well, that'll be
Now,
Thursday.
the idiot, Doc, the idiot wants to get up and do a sports night on Friday. He's having the operation tomorrow. Now, you're a doctor. How long should he recuperate?
Oh, I'd give him at least 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, anyhow, I'm not having... You've got those dates mixed up. I'm having it done today, which is Wednesday, and I'm having it done today, which is Wednesday.
What's today?
Today's Wednesday, Don. We're doing the podcast, you idiot.
So you had those shoulder done yesterday or today?
Yeah, it doesn't matter, Don. We've confused ourselves. We're doing the podcast a fraction early.
The shoulder's already done.
Yeah, don't, for God's sake, don't say what day it is. Doc, hey, Doc.
If the shoulder's already done, I'll bring some endo.
That'll bind him up.
Yeah, Don, just bring whatever you've taken before you made this phone call. Hey, thanks very much for ringing in, Doc.
It's a pleasure.
Right, ring off, turn him off. Good on you, mate.
See you, mate.
What? That's the first time it's been. It's the first time it's been good, Don, that your phone rang and you answered it. What a star! Fantastic.
There's a replacement for Neil Mitchell.
When he realised he was,
We've just discovered Neil Mitchell's replacement.
When he realised
Tom Elliott.
When
he could replace Tom Elliott.
Jesus. When he realised he was on, he thought he was just speaking to you privately. When he realised he was on, he went into a second gear. He lifted like
He's got his own radio show Saturday morning in Mount
He lifted
Gambier.
like a mare's tail, and he went bang, and on he went. We were about to cover nuclear, the COVID, the fucking climate change, renewables, fucking agenda. Now, all right, so now...
Hang on, I think we wind that up. That's our interview for the week. We'll come back.
Or I'll tell you what, we'll come back. No, we're going to just finish and then we're getting on to the soccer. No, we'll come back. We'll give people a chance to digest what the doctor said. Holy shit. I reckon he's sitting in Mount Gambier. He thought, I'd tell you what, I've got a bit of time to fill in.
Be like a dog with a tin dick, wouldn't he? The doc down there.
He was as happy as a dog with a tin dick, is the phrase, Don. Yeah. And on he went. He'll now be... I reckon, after you have sex, sometimes people have a cigarette.
Yeah, after you have what?
Sex.
What's that?
Some people have... Yeah, what is that? We've forgotten. Sometimes they have a cigarette. I reckon the dog...
have a cigarette after sex.
What, you've never heard of that? You've never heard of that? People just lie back and have a cigarette after
Do they really? That's not very romantic.
They've already done the romantic bit, Don. They've already shot the bishop. They sit back and have a bit of a recliner in a chair and have a fag. Haven't you ever heard that? Don't worry, the sex part of it's over. No matter how long it took.
Bishop.
Shoot the bishop.
I haven't heard of that. Shoot the bishop.
Rip the top off it. Shoot the bishop. Anyhow, the bishops, when the bishops... so this is the equivalent of the doc having sex. He'll be now sitting back in his divan with a bottle of of Beaujolais or a light...
I think he's into red.
Pinot?
Well, that Beaujolais is sort of red, isn't it? Anyhow, he'll be back into a Pinot Noir, as Rex used to call it, a Pinot Noir, and I reckon he'll have a cigar lit up, a little stubby. And away we go. A little stubby, and for 5 large. So he'll be drawn back on a cigar now, the doc, and he'll be thinking, fuck, have I had a good day today? All right, well... We're winding this up and we'll come back with... Now, which one do I press? I usually fuck this up. Here we go. Yeah, that's it.